In early 2006, 27-year-old Brian Shaffer seemed to have everything going for him. He was a second-year medical student at the Ohio State University College of Medicine in Columbus, Ohio. Handsome, smart, and well-liked, Brian was planning an upcoming trip to Miami with his longtime girlfriend, Alexis Wagoner. Many believed he was planning to propose to her on that trip. However, Brian's life had recently been struck by tragedy. Just 3 weeks earlier, in March 2006, his beloved mother Renee had passed away after a tough battle with cancer. Despite the grief, Brian tried to keep moving forward, relying on his father Randy and his younger brother Derek. On Friday, March 31, exams were finally over and spring break was beginning. Brian met up with his father Randy for dinner to celebrate. Randy noticed that Brian looked exhausted from studying and grieving, but Brian seemed in good spirits. At around 10:00 p.m., Brian met his close friend William Clint Florence at a local bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloon, located in the South Campus Gateway Complex on High Street. The Ugly Tuna Saloon was a popular second-floor bar. To enter, patrons had to ride a specific escalator up to the main doors. Throughout the night, Brian and Clint went bar hopping, visiting several establishments in the area. Around midnight, they bumped into a friend named Meredith Reed. Meredith drove them back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon around 1:15 a.m. to wrap up the night. At 1:15 a.m., security cameras captured Brian, Clint, and Meredith riding the escalator up into the Ugly Tuna Saloon. Inside the bar, the night went on as normal. Around 1:55 a.m., security cameras captured Brian outside the main entrance of the bar again. He was filmed standing near the escalator talking to two young women, sharing a brief conversation and a laugh. He then appeared to turn around and walk back inside the bar, off camera, right before closing time, 2:00 a.m. That was the last confirmed time anyone ever saw Brian Shaffer. At 2:00 a.m., the bar closed and the staff asked everyone to leave. Clint and Meredith waited outside for Brian, expecting him to walk out with the crowd. When the crowd cleared and Brian didn't appear, they assumed he had either walked home alone without telling them or caught a ride with someone else. They left. Over the weekend, Brian failed to return calls from his family and his girlfriend, Alexis. When Monday, April 3 arrived, Brian missed his flight to Miami with Alexis and he failed to show up for his medical school classes. Realizing something was terribly wrong, his father and girlfriend filed a missing person report with the Columbus Police Department. Police immediately rushed to the Ugly Tuna Saloon to pull the security camera footage. What they discovered turned a missing person case into an impossible puzzle. Only one exit? The bar had only one main entrance exit accessible to the public, which was continuously monitored by a pan-tilt zoom security camera. Every person counted. Investigators manually reviewed every single frame of the footage from closing time. They painstakingly counted every person who went up the escalator and every person who came down. Every single person who went into the bar that night was seen leaving except Brian. No alternative routes. The bar had a service exit, but it led into a dark, dusty construction site. Police used sniffer dogs and carefully searched the area. There were no footprints, no signs of a struggle, and no indication anyone had walked through. Jump off the balcony? Cameras monitored the street below. Nothing was captured. No financial activity. Brian's bank accounts, credit cards, and car remained completely untouched. The cell phone mystery. Months after his disappearance, Alexis called Brian's cell phone every day. One September evening, to her utter shock, the phone actually rang 3 times. Cell phone towers pinged the signal to Hilliard, Ohio, 14 miles away. However, it was never answered, and police suspected it may have been a rare network glitch, though they couldn't rule out someone turning it on. The investigation stalled with no leads, no body, and no physical evidence. The situation turned even more tragic 2 years later. In September 2008, Brian's father, Randy Shaffer, was killed in a freak accident during a heavy storm when a falling tree branch struck him in his yard. Brian's grief-stricken brother, Derek, was left as the sole surviving member of the family. In Randy's obituary, an online guestbook entry appeared that read, "To Dad, love Brian." Police investigated the message, but it was revealed to be a cruel hoax posted from a public computer in Hawaii. Over the years, theories have ranged from the plausible to the dark. Theory 1: foul play outside the bar. He may have left through an unmonitored back exit service door, encountered someone with bad intentions, and was killed with his body hidden elsewhere. Theory 2: voluntary disappearance. Overwhelmed by his mother's death and the pressure of medical school, Brian staged his own disappearance to start a new life under a different identity. Theory 3, an accident covered up. Something fatal happened inside the bar or construction area and someone disposed of his body to avoid liability. To this day, the case remains open and active. The FBI, local police, and private detectives have re-examined the footage and evidence using modern AI technology, yet no trace of Brian Shaffer has ever been found. He remains one of the most famous and baffling disappearances into thin air in American history.
Columbus, Ohio. A beautiful city, the capital city of Ohio. A lot of people joke you are born and bred a Buckeye. And if you live in Columbus, I mean, you're right there with Ohio State. A huge university, and as you're driving north on High Street, you can just get that college feel, and you can see the expansion of Ohio State.
Brian Shaffer was a second-year medical student at The Ohio State University. He really wanted to be a doctor. He wanted to follow in his mom's footsteps. She was a nurse.
Brian was extremely intelligent. He did well in school. Really believed in things that he believed in. He wasn't always that clean-cut medical student. He had long hair for a while. That was one of the reasons that his tennis career ended, because they wanted him to cut his hair and he didn't want to do it.
Had a girlfriend, had his own place, had his own apartment. He was actually in the top 10% of his class. I mean, he had the world waiting on him.
Alexis Wagner was Brian's girlfriend at the time. They had been together for approximately 10 months.
We were in medical school, in our first year of medical school actually, in class. And I thought he was cute, and one of my friends told him at a concert, and then he called and asked me if I wanted to go and have dinner and study. That's how it started.
Alexis and Brian were at that good part in a relationship. It's new, it's fresh, it's exciting.
They were actually planning on going on a trip to Miami for spring break. The tickets were actually the last Christmas present that Brian's mom had purchased for him. His mom passed away after a long battle with cancer.
Brian and Clint had made plans to go out and celebrate spring break and have a few drinks. They were close friends. They started out around 9 o'clock when they went to the Ugly Tuna Saloon, which is in the Gateway complex near campus.
Sat down, opened the tab, and had 3, 4, 5 shots of liquor.
The Ugly Tuna Saloon is a very loud and energetic second-story bar. They were famous for these huge fishbowl, like $5 drinks that would pretty much last most people all night.
Brian and Clint ended up going to another bar called the Short North Tavern, had a couple drinks there, and they ended up in a bar called Brothers. Typical college guys just out having a good time, not bothering anybody.
Alexis had actually went home to her parents' house before her and Brian left for their trip Monday for spring break. Brian took the time to call her around 10 p.m. and just tell her he was out with the guys and having fun and he couldn't wait to see her on vacation. Brian and Clint decided to end their evening by going back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon and checking out the band.
It's kind of a long walk, so Clint contacted a female friend of his, Meredith Reed, and she ended up coming and picking him up and driving back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon. There was cameras there, so when they got back, we were able to pick them up coming into the parking garage. Then they entered into the area where the escalators go up to the Ugly Tuna Saloon.
They look happy, they look like nothing is wrong at all. He's even kind of leaning back on the escalator, kind of relaxed even.
And they're all just chatting, having a good time. And they entered into the Ugly Tuna, which there's no cameras inside the Ugly Tuna. And they sat down, it's loud, there's a band playing, started drinking again. Towards the end of the night, Brian got up, he walked out. It's a little lobby-like area at the top of the escalator. When he went out there, he talked to 2 girls, and then you see him walking off camera. Appears he's gone back into the Ugly Tuna Saloon, and that's the last time we see him on camera.